Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show, and I get a chance today to reconnect with a dear friend of the program, great musician, and somebody who's always trying to work on their habitual nature and get closer to their true nature. Keith Killgo, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hey, thank you, Jake. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, and long time no talk.
You know, it's great to have you, man. I just wonder, I was just walking downstairs and I saw this book. I had Charles Mingus, and it was called Beneath the Underdog.
Yes.
And
absolutely have it.
Yeah, and you know, I just wonder, like, how much of in your subconscious or unconscious even, how much you still play music, the same kind of music that you played with Andrew White or any of the other cats that you were on the bandstand with. Like, how much of that was just because, as a person of color, even though you were raised in a white community and you had a very different upbringing, you guys are still beneath the underdog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, those experiences taught me a lot about those people that I played with, number one. And it taught me a lot about myself as a musician. And just because I was so young, and for a lot of it, it just kind of made me more humble.
You give it. Can you give? I mean, because you had a unique upbringing, but I mean, you know what I'm talking. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's like,
right.
It's like, it's hard enough to be a bandstand musician playing original creative music. Throw on top of the fact that they're a person of color in this country. And it's like, I mean, things have changed, obviously. I mean, you know, but I guess, I mean, people are, but still, it's still like, it's still there. It's always there.
Always there. And that mentality, depending on where you work or what city you're working in, it can be even more present.
That's right.
And, you know, particularly with some of the, I'm talking Baltimore, and I live, you know, and Baltimore is really not really a black city, okay?
Right.
It's really a blue-collar city.
Totally.
You know, and when I played with Clifford Jordan and Albert Daly and all those cats, I mean, Mike Bensky, who's the guy that ran the club, he's a white guy, but it still had that flavor. I don't know if that's a good word.
You mean, you explain, what do you mean, the vibe, that had that vibe, or what do you mean?
That vibe was still kind of there.
Yeah.
Even the way he never treated me bad or anything, but just the neighborhood, you know, when you stepped outside, you were like, this is like blue-collar white folks they live here, you know. And it was kind of odd to have a jazz club full of really not black people, because a lot of black people didn't even come to Fells Point, you know.
Absolutely.
At that point, you know, it still was a majority white audience. And that's Baltimore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the whole paradox, irony, or whatever it is like the music, I mean, the music of that we love so much that was created by African Americans in this country. I mean, it basically was consumed by white people, Jewish people. I mean, Eddie Harris's line was, if you're in the news if you're with the Jews, or something like that. You know, like, basically, like, it was funded. But, you know, there's a whole variety of things going on. I just wonder, in your, like, for this anniversary tour, I mean, the Blackbyrds are obviously like an iconic band that seemed to be actually probably gaining in popularity over time, which is remarkable. Um, I just wonder, what do you use for inspiration now? Because, I mean, like you said, these tunes are sort of completely embedded in your language. And so, how do you get yourself off on these tours? What do you use for inspiration?
Well, it's the fact that as much as many times as we've played together, this particular tour has given me the opportunity over this since January, since actually November of last year, a chance to start playing a lot of songs we never played.
Wow.
When we look at the catalog between Donald and us, it's almost 250 songs involved in that. With the Larry Mizell stuff, with Donald stuff,
sure,
stuff. A lot of tunes, and a lot of tunes it was so funny about them is back in the day, half of this shit we couldn't play no way.
Wait, you couldn't play what?
We couldn't play half of it. It sounded horrible. And it was terrible.
So you mean I want to be clear though, like these are things that you were able to get it together and cut it in the studio, but it never played live.
Yeah, never played live because I don't know. We just weren't there yet.
I dig. No, I did. I completely dig. Yeah.
Yeah, we just weren't there. So a lot of tunes we stayed away from because there's no way in hell we was going to go up there and crash and burn on those tunes. And so this will be it is the first time that we actually can play this stuff for real. We've matured as musicians, singers, and players, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And now songs that we shied away from, we can play. So that's what's going to be my inspiration for this tour is the fact that tunes like Miss Kane, tunes like Loving You and Music and Flying High. We never played Flying High.
Really? I love those last two you mentioned. I love, man.
Yeah. Never played them live, And so this will give us a chance to play these tunes, and I'm like, what's the song? Dreaming About You, Kevin's song, some of Joe's songs. We're actually able to play this stuff, man. So this is exciting for me. I'm like, wow. We actually play and I listen back and was like, damn it, almost sound like the record, and that's my whole goal, really. That's and I know that's kind of goofy, but for me, the closer to the record it is, the better.
Well, first of all, that's plenty of I don't know what the right word is. Focus, inspiration for this tour. I mean, I was going through my interview. I just connected with Al Cooper, who the founder of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he was talking about being down in Nashville with Bob Dylan working on Blonde on Blonde, and basically he would play the chords on like an electric piano, and Dylan would just sit there over and over again and sing. He would sing the songs while Al played them on the piano to work them out. And it's more of a folk bag, it was clearly not groove, soul, Blackbyrds music. But I mean, when you're like a tune like Flying High, or can you just talk about one of these new tunes and like maybe how you guys have grown enough as musicians and how you were able to have you actually? I would assume you've been shedding these songs together.
Yeah. Well, what I think has happened is that we've grown more compassionate about this music. I mean, when we recorded it, it was a lot going on. It was all new, and we had strings and the orchestra. Bird had put all these stuff on it, and we just didn't. We were breathing at another pace.
Totally. Well, you were a little also. I mean, you were consumed with your own things.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't really, and a lot of times when we recorded the record, we just basically recorded the tracks. They sent us home, and we heard the record later. We didn't know what else they had put on it.
That's interesting. That's fast. So you basically just laid down the But like even you laid down the rhythm tracks. You never even really heard the vocals record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them the ones are the ones that we sang, but even those that
Right.
we sang, he would still add some more stuff on it with Wade Marcus with strings and French horn.
Oh, Wade Marcus. Are you kidding me? These guys are just the baddest cats, man.
You know,
Yeah.
we hear all of this stuff, later, and it was like the Cornbread Earl and Me. Now we at least got a chance to. That was one of the songs. Now we've only played that once.
Dude, I cannot go to my grave without hearing that live. That is the greatest tune. Continue, please.
Yes, and so I sang the lead vocal on it and all that, and I never have and never will consider myself a singer, but I was able to sell this message, the story, which has like 100,000 verses to it, but it's eclectic in its own way, but it's really cool. Like now, I really can sing it. I can really feel it and play it, and I just think that that's just been the beauty of the music, is that it's transitioning within us, even though the song same song, but we are certainly looking at it totally through a total different lens now. We're feeling it from a total different feel, just loving it, man. I Need You. They laugh at me because I do this crazy scream at the end.
Good. Go as high as go the highest octave as possible, dude.
It's crazy scream. But, at the time, man, I was, I was standing on nails, because it was, Bird just put me out. They said, man, go ahead. And the funny part about it, Tony's sister, Cheryl, wrote the words. And that song must have 9 verses on it. Okay, it was like
that's insane. Yeah, right. It's like a Dylan tune. Yeah,
and it just went on and on and on and on. But the vibe is there, and we played it. We matter of fact, we rehearsed it beginning of this month, because we rehearse once a month at my house. And man, like all the cats are like, yes, let's do this. So
oh my God, this is great.
So much fun.
It's just so nice to hear your voice again, Brother Killgo. We did a whole bunch of interviews last year, maybe a year or two, and I just wonder, how you're, the way you've evolved, matured, had become more compassionate. More open to being vulnerable. I just wonder how your dad would have viewed this kind of evolution of the band. He was a very opinionated guy. He had very high standards. He played with a lot of the masters, even though he wasn't a professional musician, so to speak. And he would tell you straight. I mean, he didn't want to hear I'm pretty sure he's the one. He didn't want to hear Hendrix and all that jamming that was going on downstairs in the basement. I could be wrong about that, but
no, he did not.
Yeah. So I mean, would in a perfect world, would he be like, son, it's a time for a new bag, or would he say, this is exactly what it's about in terms of dusting off tunes you've never played and just becoming more comfortable with the new grooves of these tunes?
Well, I mean, and my father did come to see us. He and my mom came to see us. We played at, what was it, Just Jazz in Philly. That was a long time ago. And
where was that? Were you guys playing like the Bijou Cafe ever or anything like that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Killgo, you got to be kidding me, dude.
Yeah, we played the Bijou, we played Just Jazz, we played the Hippodrome, the Schubert Theater. We played in Philly quite a bit. And like I said, my mom and dad drove up for that. And I think, and we were still playing more of Donald Byrd style stuff at that time. But, I mean, what he was saying now is that if we've been playing it this long, it's about time we got it right.
That's your dad, right? That's him, dude. He'd buy you a cheeseburger and a Coke and sit you down next to Miles in the club, dude, you know?
Yeah, he'd say, "Oh well, finally, geez, how long was it going to take?" But I think he'd be really impressed and happy that we stuck out. 50 years, and I swear, man, it, and I hope it feels like this all the way to the end. It don't feel like it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like these years have evolved, just kind of just gone by, and everybody's doing what they do, but it doesn't feel like you're waiting for the bell to ring, or you're waiting for the whistle to blow to get off work or whatever. This is kind of the train ride that we're on, and that we're happy about being on it, and we're going to ride it to the end of the line. That's just how we're going to do it.
Breaking down the 1973, the iconic Blackbyrds self-titled album came out. I guess that's a Van Gogh painting on it. I can't remember.
Yes, one of my favorite paintings.
Perk Jacobs, all these cats. It was just the nastiest record. Can you just take us through briefly, like, the chronology of the Blackbyrds? I mean, you haven't played for 50 years straight. There's been quite a few hiatuses in there. Can you just break down the chronology of, because maybe that's why it doesn't feel like 50 years, because you haven't been playing exactly for total 50 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty much but when we started out like that with some 73, we really started before that, but
right.
Recorded the record. That's when it came out. But we would play gigs, man, for 3 weeks at one place, man. The Burning Spear in Detroit, something else in Chicago. These gigs were like Philly. We'd play in Philly for 2 weeks.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, every night, and so we were really up on our craft, on our chops, because you play every day, every night, and you rehearse every day. I mean, it was really a developmental part that really, I think, drove us and why we were able to write what we wrote. Because we did all the writing primarily either at rehearsal or when we stayed over in L.A. with Bird in his house. So, we always were moving and writing and playing and coming up with new grooves and blah, blah, blah. And so it was a constant thing. And then once the Blackbyrds we separated, we still worked. Because Charlie Graziano, who was our manager with Bird, became our manager without Bird, whatever that was about. But we still worked. We played St. Louis, Detroit, but it wasn't the same thing because Bird was gone. Okay.
So what year? I'm curious. So the Burning Spear, the 2 week when you guys started in '73, Bird was on those tours.
Yes.
Okay. So when did Graziano disassociate with Bird? What year was that?
That was in '77.
Okay, so then it wasn't the same. Continue. It wasn't the same because...
It wasn't the same because now I was making the decisions.
Brother Killgo in charge of the decisions.
Right.
Dude. Yeah.
But the reason I was making decisions because Bird always made me or let me pick the music for the shows.
Right. Well, he was already sort of passing the torch, so to speak, I guess. Yeah.
And he was out there doing this thing on Soft and Easy and having the girls come up on the stage. Oh, I mean, I did all that kind of crazy stuff, and taking these long drum solos where I had named each one of my drums, a girl's name, Thomas, Flo, cymbals, fanny, the snare.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm trying to tell you, it was wacky Wale, wacky. And, so he knew I could do it. It wasn't that. There was no question about it, and the guys had the faith in me that I could do it because, that's always how I was made. That's how I was wired, And so, but the dynamic changed when Bert wasn't there because it was like your teacher's gone now, okay?
Right.
So you're in charge of the class. So what we doing? What's the lesson plan for today? Or, that kind of thing. And so it evolved even further because now we didn't have to, there wasn't no bidding for who got what song and what. If you got a good song, we recorded.
Right.
When we were with George Duke, it wasn't a matter of what song it was. Like, we had this foray with Diodato for a while. He came to the house, and we sent him, like, I know we sent him, about 30 songs, right? And he got back to us like a couple of weeks later. He only liked 4 of them.
Right. Okay. Very opinionated. I've interviewed that cat. Very opinionated cat. Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, okay, well, screw you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're out. Okay.
You're gone, brother.
Yeah. You go ahead and do you. You did good with Cool in the Gang. I guess it just was. And that was the whole thing. And I think that was the whole thing with the producers that we encountered. We were a basement garage band. That's what we were. We were not. It wasn't. Nobody came down with no sheet music and hit with chord and all this shit.
I love this. Yeah, you were just the greasiest basement band around, dude.
Yeah, we were just a basement band. And so when we got with George and we got Diodato, those kind of guys, they just didn't understand that. And I don't think if you're not from that cut, you won't. If you're a good conceptualist, then you get it. Like a guy like Quincy Jones, I'm sure would get it. He said, well, this is where these guys do. Just let them play.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
Don't try to organize the shit, man. Just let them play. And, they play. And so even though we had some good stuff on Better Days, in which it's even, like, again, the music has evolved. I mean, George was an excellent producer. He had whatever his situation was going on. But, and we didn't, at the time, we were kind of butting heads because the budget and there was the politics was going on. But when I listened back to the songs were good, but it wasn't in the Blackbyrds.
Explain. I'm surprised. Like Diodato, there's no disputing that. The guy was working with Klaus Ogerman and Sinatra. But I mean, like, but I'm surprised Duke. Maybe he was going through something in his life. I'm just saying I'm surprised that he wasn't more. He was familiar with that basement. I mean, Cannonball's bands were basement bands.
Yeah, but I mean, he was more.
As a producer, it's different. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. As a producer, I mean, it's clean. It's recorded. Tommy Vicari, engineer, is recorded really well. It's mixed really well. It's pretty good balance on things, the vocals, so on and so forth. But it's too pretty for the Blackbyrds.
I dig, man.
Oh, ain't no grease, ain't no chicken bones.
no ham hocks and collard greens. Yeah, I get it, man.
Isn't it? It's pristine. It's as if we were playing for the Queen. Dude,
I'd wind up staring at the wall with that. Give me a break.
Yeah. And that's how it was perceived by the audience. They've grown into it now because tons of generations have passed since that record was out. So they didn't really have the necessary background. But if you listen to City Life and you listen to Better Days, you can totally tell the whole story's told right there.
What's interesting though, and it's funny because I'm backed up against the clock here because I got Joe coming up at the top of the hour. But what's interesting, and I want you to think about this, is like, I just remember a lot of the studio sharks in Los Angeles and New York. I mean, they openly acknowledge that there was no methodology on how to make a record until 1976. At that point, there became a template that became obsessive, and people followed it. But before that, it was basically, hey, do it. Whatever, let's just make it sound real and authentic. But there was no template, or there was nothing in writing about how. And it's just funny because the albums you talked about, the early albums just burned with authenticity, and then the later albums became maybe a little bit more sterile. I don't know what the right word is. And the thing that
it became sterile in my opinion because dirt was no longer acceptable.
You nailed it.
Dirt was no longer acceptable. We sweeping this up. We polishing this, and which is okay, But I just think some of the joy and some of the passion just gets lost when you're trying to make it so pristine.
No, you're nailed, dude. Come on, man. That's 99% of people today. Producers suck all the soul out because we have the technology to do it, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Yes. And so it doesn't become. It just doesn't have the. I mean, that's why they're going back to vinyl, for instance, because CD and whatever MP3s and MP4s.
No, it's all compressed, hyper compression. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it's lifeless to me.
Lifeless. No pulse, no grease, no chicken bones. Yeah, I dig.
Yeah, it's like when you croak in the hospital, straight line.
Not for a long time for Brother Killgo. I'll tell you that much. All right.
No, sir. Yeah, no, sir. I'm not going down there yet. But the point is that it's. I would like getting back to that. And that's what's happening with these rehearsals that we're doing. I made it my point, or made it a point to have those rehearsals like that, so that we could grow just playing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And feeling the dirt, feeling the grease. I mean, so you make a mistake. Good. Make another one. That was actually a good mistake.
Right. No, let's all go with that. Yeah, exactly. Thank God, man. Jesus, God. It's exactly. By the way, I just want to say, I'm sure you're hip to this, but I walked into a bookstore a few months ago, and a couple of the younger cats, vinyl enthusiasts, had reissued, or actually, I'm sorry, they reissued a bunch of early '70s Blue Note, Columbia stuff, Miles stuff, but a lot of Donald Byrd. And one of the things that came out that was never released was the epic Montreux '73 show with the Skipper and you. And it is. Yeah, you want to talk about a greasy duck bone fried duck session? I mean, it's one of my favorite albums now, man. And you're killing it on there.
Man, playing that James Brown beat on Blackbird, man.
Dude, it never ends. It just keeps going.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I'm just saying, it was like really cool to hear cats that when you put these sort of scrambled egg bands together, that wasn't like a traditional unit, so to speak, but yet you guys just tore it up, man. It was just so beautiful. But let's I really would love to talk to you more later off the air. But it's great to hear your voice, man. It's much love to you, man. And I'll call you later.
Okay, sounds good.
Be cool, brother.
I take care.
Yeah, bye.
You know what to do. I'll get back to you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Joe Hall, Jake Feinberg. We got an interview right now, 2 p.m. Eastern. Give me a call when you can, 520-275-2058.